Hi everyone. So this is Shripal Jain. I'm the co-founder of Simandhar Education. As you know, I've been coming in a lot of videos in the past. So it's been some time. I didn't took any live from any of our alumni, recent alumni. There have been a lot of students who are passing CPA from Simandhar. And Shripal sir, I've been like going completely preoccupied. So this time I thought that yes, after a lot of requests, people wanted to see how Hrithik have passed CPA in 3 months. So I know that that's a massive achievement. So I'll be taking first questions from Hrithik on how he prepared and all, and then kind of go in to your questions actually, and Hrithik will be there and he'll be kind of answering majority of your questions today in our preparation. Right. So Hrithik, first of all, thank you so much for coming on our platform, and this is a amazing achievement. I would say you are the only person, to be honest, in the world who have passed CPA exam in 3 months. So what did you do different, Hrithik? And especially you're a working professional working with a big four with such a tight work schedule, and then passing the CPA exam in 3 months is no joke. So what did you do differently to pass the exam, Hrithik? And before
Sure.
that, what is your education qualification also, Hrithik?
Okay. Sure. Well, to start with, thank you so much, Shripal sir, for having me on this. It's always a pleasure to collaborate with you. So to start with, my background is I completed my Bachelor's of Commerce (BCom) from Symbiosis Pune, and at that very same time, I was also pursuing my ACCA qualification. So by the time I graduated, I had completed both my ACCA. I had completed my ACCA, and right after my graduation, I joined Deloitte uh, for the US practice. And after having joined Deloitte, and since that I was majoring in the US practice, that's when I was introduced to CPA. And CPA was what when I worked with all my clients and partners, most of them were CPAs. So it was a really, a nice qualification that appeared to me, and it was something that I also wanted to pursue at that very same time. So that's when even my firm, I had collaborated with them, kind of understood how I can go ahead with my CPA journey. And that's when Shripal sir, your institute, Simandhar, was something that was recommended to me by a lot of people. And it's very easy, it's all over Google. So that's how I got ahead with Simandhar education for my CPA journey. And in order to complete my CPA in a very short duration amount of time, one thing was very clear, as you rightly mentioned, I work for Deloitte and Big Four practice. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of workload and there's a lot of busy schedules that we have. So for me, the solution was to complete the qualification as soon as possible. Not that I could spend a lot of time on my CPA journey. So considering I have a lot of client schedules and all of that. So that's why I wanted to target it very quickly. So the first key to actually clearing the CPA so soon was to set very aggressive timelines. I had only 3 months or 4 months to study. So I really set that amount of time and I devoted that amount of time to studies. Obviously, I was also working at the same time. So I scheduled time at night for myself and I blocked my calendar so that nobody else would reach out to me or probably not schedule anything for me at those hours. And I had made a schedule for the next 3 or 4 months that this is how I want to clear my CP and this is how I want to give my exams. And at the very time, I also scheduled my exams because many a times we don't get our seats at the exam centers. So that's what I also did. And the third and the most key important point was that I stuck to my schedules. Whatever I planned, however I planned to study for today or for the next week, I would just do that. I would religiously just follow it and then I would be done with my syllabus and then I would appear for the exam. So
So
that's how I did
Hrithik,
it for all
the
the four
most
exams.
the most special and interesting part is you are not a chartered accountant. You have not come from a very strong accounting background and yet pass the CPA exam in 3 months along with the job. I know that there's a foundation of the job of a big four and all, but it's really not a, I would say, uh, like easy task to kind of pass the exam because there are so many things in CPA. So how was your experience for CPA evaluation and eligibility with Simandhar? Because there are a lot of people till now ask us, because I know that we have almost 50,000 students above and we have been passing and placing. We have seen a lot of eligible award sales award winners. Still people like कहीं सिमंदर की क्वालिटी गिर तो नहीं गई है, इतने बच्चे आ गए, इतने स्टूडेंट्स पास हो रहे हैं, कहीं इंस्टीट्यूट इज नॉट गेटिंग ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट. So how was your experience with our team with respect to the eligibility and evaluation?
So this was something that even I was concerned about, since every Indian, every CPA aspirant that I talk to, they are associated with Simandhar education. So I just wanted to understand that, how are they able to give that individual time to everyone? But it was seamless experience for me. From an evaluation perspective, that was an overwhelming process, and that is an overwhelming process to get your evaluation done and all that. And it is equally a big challenge as the exams are. That's also quite a challenge to get your evaluation done in a timely manner. For me, it was as simple as just raising a ticket on the Simandhar platform, and then they would reach out in. They have a timeline of 24 hours, I believe, but I think they would always reach out to me in 3 4 hours. They would get a call from their evaluation team, and they would really list it down in a very simple manner that these are the documents that you need to publish and you need to provide us with, and we can take it forward from there. So the evaluation team was very efficient, I can say, efficient and quick to help me out with that. Even I would say that my evaluation was also done very quickly. I started my evaluation in April, and within a month, I had my evaluation done and my state board approval as well. So I don't think that was possible without the guidance of your evaluation team. So, yep.
Now, Hrithik, coming to the CPA, because there are a lot of people who focus a lot on evaluation, on process, and all. The most important thing they don't do in CPA is to study, right? So you have utilized that part quite comprehensively because evaluation was rather outsourced to Samandar, and we were doing that. But how about the studies? Because and which subject you started off with first? Like, did you start with FAR? Did you start with audit? And if you have started with certain subject, why did you start with that subject first?
Yeah. So I started with FAR. Uh, I started with FAR because FAR is, I think, the most daunting paper as per most of the aspirants and most of the people that I've heard. It's the most daunting subject. So I felt that I could take it first because, it's a challenge and it can set a right base for the other papers as well. So I took up the FAR paper first. And actually, in my when I was taking my first exam, actually, I had booked two exams together. So it was FAR as well as audit in a gap of one day. So, but I took the audit exam second, 2 days later after my FAR paper. And the only reason for that is because if you have to audit something, you need to know the financial regulation aspect, financial, reporting aspect of it very well before you audit anything. So that's the reason. In order to, supplement my audit studies, I had to give my FAR exam first, get that experience, and then go sit for my audit exam. So FAR audit, and then the third exam, probably 20 days later, was regulation paper, which is the tax paper. And lastly, after another 20 25 days, I gave my ISC paper, information system exam.
Now, this brings to an interesting question, right? You have also topped the ACCA exam, and we started recently ACCA as well, right? So, did that also help, or do you want to give an advantage that, okay, I was already an ACCA topper, so CPA is like cakewalk for me? Does it have some nexus like that, or does it make you overconfident that this is what it is and it's quite very easy exam to pass?
I would not exactly call it a very easy exam to pass. We really have to do a lot of hard work in order to do that CPA, in order to qualify CPA. But yes, if there's someone who's ready to give that hard work, I'm sure CPA would not be very hard for them. It's just that people have to give that amount of time. Having my background in ACCA, it did supplement for one or two subjects. I would say there are four exams in CPA. I say very frankly, it only supplemented one or two exams. And the major difference that I have from my historical background is that since I'm an ACCA, it is all based on IFRS and international standards. And US GAAP and CPA on the other hand is very specific to US GAAP and US regulations. So there is quite a difference between these two. Although yes, the calculations and the overall concept might be similar, not same, but still there is a difference. But yes, it did supplement only for my FAR exam and audit exam. But I would only say that the supplementing would be for probably 60 to 70% of the syllabus. After all, it is, and then the remaining part of the syllabus again was new for me, and US gap is again a new experience. So it was
So,
different.
Ritik, you selected ISC. Now, this
Yeah.
is a million dollar question this year in 2024. Which discipline I must select in CPA? Shripal sir, I've always recommended ISC and TCP, not bar. But what is your take on all the three disciplines? Because I'm sure you might have gone through all the three disciplines. It's not because teacher have recommended something students would do, but what was your rationale behind selecting ISC as a discipline?
Okay, sure. So, for me, the biggest confusion was between TCP and ISG. For me, it was very clear that since I don't have a lot of time, I barely have 20 or 25 days in hand to prepare for any subject at any given point of time. So, the only option was between TCP and ISG because syllabus, as per the quantitative part of the syllabus, I would say that is a little bit on the lighter side as compared to the third subject, which I'm going to say is bar. Bar is a very interesting subject. It has a lot of finance in it and a lot of calculations for the people who like computation calculations. It's really a good option, but it does require a lot of time. It's an extension to FAR and even back before. So there are a lot of calculations. It's a lengthy syllabus. That's the reason I scratched it out initially because it's not something that I can give a lot of time to. So TCP and ISC were the options, and I would recommend people to take it if time is a constraint. So TCP is the smallest I felt out of the three syllabuses, but it's all based on US taxation. And if you really have that interest towards US taxation, and or probably if you work in US tax, then it's something that you can really go forward with. It will also supplement what you're working at. And ISC was for me. ISC was interesting. I looked at the syllabus and I found a lot of SQL queries and a lot of IT things, and we have artificial intelligence and all of that buzzing today. So that was something that I saw in the syllabus, and I felt that this is something that will also interest me at the same time and won't take a lot of time as well. So that's the reason I chose ISC. And I have a little bit of background in blockchain. I've worked in blockchain as well. So that was something that I had in the
Awesome.
syllabus. So that's the reason I took up ISC.
I'm hoping that you bought a Bitcoin also, since you had some background in blockchain as well, Hrithik.
Independence issues at audit. I cannot own blocks.
Okay. So what about Hrithik's simulations? Because simulation is a big problem for CPA students. So what are the strategies you did while solving the sims and all?
So Sims would always be a daunting experience the first time you take it because you're going to get the answers wrong. I was also not an exception here. I also got a lot of answers wrong. But it was about but over a period of time, I understood that solving simulations is about applying your concepts that you learned while you were doing your MCQs and studying the subject, applying those properly. And also, second, what I felt was very important is to be able to, not get overwhelmed by the case study. It is about effectively handling the case study because the case studies and the simulation is designed to overwhelm you. So if you're able to deal with the case study very effectively, read it properly and read the proper requirements very carefully, you will be able to solve the simulations very easily. Solving the simulations is not very easy. It's just the case study that you need to deal with in an effective manner in the given time. So I feel more of reading and more of applying your concepts is important to solve these simulations.
So how do you see that, Hrithik? Because sims are so big, so a lot of people get scared by seeing the case itself. Like, oh my God, it is such a big thing. When will I read? How would you do a time management for simulations?
So what I would do, and something that even I've learned from my past exams, even ACCA, I would say that I would first go and read the requirements, not starting with the case study and reading the entire story. I would go and first read the requirements of the question to understand what they really want to ask. And when I read the requirements of the question, then I go back and I read the case study so I know what to read and what not to read. That kind of sets up the base to solving the simulation, and that's how I'm reducing on the time. I'm able to effectively manage effectively do that time management for the simulation questions. So it's about knowing what they are asking and then going ahead with the case study.
Now, students have a very interesting question like how many hours one would study if they want to pass exam in 3 months, right? Because there are a lot of institutes keep advertising and all. They keep telling that, see, again, doing this video, not telling people that they should also pass in 3 months. I think that's a very bad thing to talk about because end of the day, you want people to prepare as per their convenience because everyone's difficulties, everyone the way they manage the deliverables, everything is very much independent, right? So I want to understand like how many number of hours you have clocked every day, and on weekends how many number of hours, and then split it into sections like for FAR how many hours, regulation how many hours, audit, then ISC. I know that quality anytime beat the quantity, but because our students always keep measuring quality in terms of number of hours, so I would ask you this question definitely from the student's perspective.
From the number of hours perspective, I think per day I was giving 3 hours. At a minimum, 3 hours I was giving on my on my weekdays. So as I said, I would, complete my work by 10 o'clock as we work in Big Four. 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I would complete my work, and then I would start at night around 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, and I would clock another 3 hours from there on my CPA. So 3 hours is something that I consistently gave on my weekdays. On the weekends, made great use of my weekends. So I think I was at least clocking 7 hours, 6 to 7 hours. Again, I could have done more considering that it is a weekend, you have a lot more hours. But 6 to 7 hours was a fair expectation, I think, on my weekends. And that's how I, did it per week. From a section to section perspective for FAR, I think I'm, as per my Becker portal, it says that I clocked in around 90 to 95 hours on FAR. On regulation, I had the same 90 to 95 hours. On ISC, I had barely around 40 hours of study time. And the other exam, I think audit also, I think I had around 50 hours of study time as per Becker.
Okay. So I
So
think that calculates. So if you see that 270 hours, it is exactly matching in 3 months. So it is like 250 to
yes,
270 hours is what you have spent to ensure that you pass the CPA exam, and that are quality 270 to 250 to 270 hours. So that is divided into different sections. Now, audit is considered to be the toughest section in CP exam and considered to be very, very tricky. In many of the FAR questions also come in audit like ratios and adjusting journal entries. And you will be like, what the hell is happening? This is something which we have never seen. And from nowhere, and there are a lot of people who tell, sir, this is not covered in Becker or Simandhar material and all, and Simandhar lectures also, though they have covered everything, but still there are certain topics which comes all the way from far. And that's one of the reason I tell them that not to attempt audit first, because far questions comes in audit. Now, what were your strategies for audit, especially with respect to simulations and audit?
yeah. So, as you rightly mentioned, a lot of questions in audit exam appear from the FAR exam, and that really happened with me as well. There were adjustment questions, for example, as you mentioned, adjustment and some financial reporting, some accounts that I had to audit. So they were really trying to understand if you understand the financial reporting aspect of that. So that's the reason I felt that, appearing for the FAR and probably preparing for the FAR exam before my audit exam was very important to supplement my audit studies. From a simulation perspective, I think the longest simulations or the most overwhelming simulations I saw in audit only, because audit questions were very long, and although the requirements were pretty not that hard, again, they were very similar to how we answered in my FAR exam. I felt like similar questions were appearing in my FAR exam as well as audit exam from a simulation perspective. So I think about audit, since I also work in audit, I really felt that that has helped me deal with the case studies, read the case studies, and try to understand what they're talking about. But if you really don't have that audit experience, again, it's not a big problem, because even I've given my ACCA exam before my job. So that's how there also I had similar case studies. So it's all about reading the textbook in very much in detail, and also going through the lectures that we have at Simandhar. They will really prepare you very well for those simulations in audit. And even if you're giving your audit paper for the first time, not having given your FAR exam before, I think still going through the similar lectures will help you understand, because they also cover that FAR aspect in their lectures. It's not only audit that they are covering; they are also covering FAR. So that really prepares you for both the exams, and even if you're giving your audit first, it will prepare you. So that has helped me as well.
So I think the most important thing is like, now when someone wants to pass in 3 months or 4 months, obviously they will need to go through recorded lectures and all, and they will not prefer to go to live because they need to complete it fast. So how was it, Hrithik? Because there are a lot of them, they will like wait for live classes, and also did you find that live classes is good, or recorded only you can do it and finish it faster because that's the objective? So did you see any difference of quality in lectures versus, I would say, difference of quality, say in how you're watching the live and how you're watching the recorded? Did you see that difference?
So I felt that there was, from a quality perspective, really had no issue with the recorded lectures. And recorded lectures give you that advantage that if you want to skip to what you really want to understand and the exact concept that you want to cover, you can skip to that part directly. So recorded lectures are something that would really facilitate you to save that amount of time. Obviously, live lectures are effective. You have your questions, you can directly get it clarified by the on the with the tutor. But I felt that in live lectures, a lot of people will be asking questions. So already know it. That will waste a lot of your time as well. You are probably waiting for someone to clarify some question, and you're waiting in that time. So I feel that I really feel that recorded lectures were very helpful in that respect. Also, Simandhar has Telegram channels. So those Telegram channels are something that we have. They in those Telegram channels they have a lot of people asking questions, and a lot of people have covered all the probably in Becker portal whatever questions we have from an MCQ perspective or a simulation perspective. Everything is covered in those Telegram. So what we need to do is just search and get the response, and a lot of people have responded to that on in a live manner. So that also streamlines your preparation. If you don't understand anything, the Telegram channel is that they have designed is very effective uh, from that respect. Yeah.
So, Hrithik, what is that one thing? Because for a working professional or a person who's starting CP after a long period of time, or PA, I have seen a lot of the professionals who reach me out on webinar. They keep asking that how should I start and all. And I feel that the most difficult thing is to first is to start and study, and second is to be consistent. So, how were you, Mr. Consistent, in this preparation? Because that is what motivated you and what motivates you on a daily basis to ensure that you study for CPA exam and pass, because there are a lot of students who register but they never attempt the exam also. I've seen so many of them like that. So what made you to ensure that I need to write this exam and I need to pass this exam?
Yeah. So this all started when I got my evaluation done. I was expecting the evaluation, or I was anticipating that the evaluation will take me a lot of time. So I did not know what my timelines are. But then it was all of a sudden that the effective way of getting the evaluation done by your team and all of that my evaluation happened so quickly. And then I got to know that the only next step for me in my journey in the CPA is to apply for an NTS or a hall ticket and apply and appear for the exam. So then all of a sudden, when all of my evaluation was done, the only thing that stood between me, my current situation, and me from becoming a CPA was giving the exams. And that really excited me at that point of time, that it's only that I only need to give my exams and I'm done. So I really need to get that my preparation started. And that's where I started, and I was so sure that if I start, I have to be very consistent with it, because the exams are on demand. You can give the exams whenever you're prepared. So I was ensuring that I was preparing as soon as possible, and I was giving the exams. I did not have to wait for any quarter end to give the exams. So the only thing that stood between me and my dream of becoming a CPA was the exams. And that's the reason I kept myself very consistent on a daily basis. I kept preparing because I knew the sooner I prepare and the faster I prepare, I can give my exams. So that's the
Amazing,
reason.
Ritik. You are a big source of inspiration and motivation to everyone who are watching us. I mean, or who will be watching this video later as well. I think this sort of inspiration and motivation is really very much required. And I would like to close it out with one last question. Three things which could describe Simandhar education.
Okay. So I think three things. I think when you are saying just three things, I think it's too less. There are a lot of points that I would have to describe Simandhar. Simandhar, I think from first thing is their quality. Something that I really matters a lot is quality. They have amazing content, amazing partnership. Becker is one example. So they have amazing partnerships, and they will ensure that you get the right resources to complete the exam. That is quality. Second is efficiency, because as I said, my evaluation and even evaluation perspective, it happened really quickly because of their expertise in it. And even from an efficiency perspective, if you have any doubt while preparing, they have plenty of people and plenty of students of theirs who will clarify your doubts. So efficiency is the second point. And the third point is And the third point I feel is, the network that they have built, right? So the network, even the student network, the corporate network, I think even placements are pretty good. I am already working, so that's something that I've not explored, but I have seen a lot of my friends getting placed through Simandhar. So that's something that I felt that even if I screwed up at college, probably I could take admission in Simandhar and later get myself placed.
That's so sweet of you, Hrithik. Quality, efficiency, and network. QEN is what which describes Simandhar education. And thank you so much, Hrithik, for kind of coming live and clarifying a lot of the things of your preparation and all. I think now I'll take up some questions from our YouTube. Some of them have asked question like, so there are both Becker and Simandhar lectures is a question from Kavish. So does Simandhar gives both Becker lectures and Simandhar lectures? Because I'll not answer today. Only Hrithik should answer. So Hrithik, what do you think? Do we give both the lectures or do we discriminate?
Mm. So Simandhar lectures are different, Becker lectures are different. Becker lectures are given by their team based in the US. And Simandhar lectures is something that the Indian team, Simandhar team, and their lecturers have been providing. So I think from an Indian student perspective, I feel Simandhar lectures is something that you'll be able to connect more as compared to Becker lectures. Becker lectures, you obviously need to have that amount of language expertise to be able to understand that. And they only have half an hour or probably 20-minute lectures. So they don't cover everything. I felt the most efficient or effective way of covering the syllabus, I think, would be to go with the Simandhar lectures.
Okay. Next question, guys. So we are live now. So Hrithik is there. If you have any questions with respect to CPA preparation, CPA strategy, this is a time we still have 8 minutes before Hrithik runs for his office. So if any questions anyone has, so which is preferred to watch? Kavish, I think you have already mentioned that Samandar lectures are more detailed and precise. So I think that is what is the better thing to watch, right? And then later, like 2 days before or 3 days before, you can watch. So Becker lectures are like more like crash course, right? So does US
Yes.
CPA is easier than US CMA? Bishnu, I will answer that because he didn't do US CMA. US CPA definitely is not easier. That's what I was telling Hrithik because he passed 3 months. So everyone will think CPA is very easy and all. All right. So every exam has its own pros and cons. So CPA definitely is it is more longer, I would say, than easier, right? Because it has 4 subjects. CMA has only 2. So Vishnu, in that manner, I would say for a non-accounting student, CMA is easier than CPA. Okay. Is there any validity applied to Becker or both Samandar and Becker? So Ketan, typically Becker and Samandar both have access of 24 months. We later extend that in case if you wanted, but typically a CP exam should not take 24 months. If it is taking 24 months, then I think you're doing something really, really different, right? So we typically give for 24 months, and that is like with unlimited views. You can watch n number of times the videos and all. So Ketan is asking one question, Hrithik, is did you prepare any notes for a quick review like before the exam that this is something like a ready reckoner?
So for me, making notes was, very time consuming. So something that I did not do. What I would do is I would carry a highlighter with me, and in the textbook, Becker textbook that I had, I would just, highlight whatever was important, and I'd make mini notes there only. 1 or 2 words, I would just say that this is important. From a relation perspective, I would just write statutory numbers towards the left side of the column in the textbook, and I would just do everything in that textbook. I would not maintain any other notebook or something to refer to. And when I had to revise quickly, I would just go back to my textbook and only read the highlighted part. So that was the way, I had my efficient way of studying rather than making
Okay.
notes.
Okay. Yogesh, did we miss any of the question? Like AK Patel is telling that, can you see my comment because I'm not able to see his comment?
So I took out his comment, I guess.
Okay, he's not there.
Yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's all we had for today. Thank you so much, Hrithik. It was great having you here. I hope that this live video helps a lot of CPA students to prepare for their strategies and all. One last question, Hrithik. Any tip which you want to give to the students and professionals who are watching you today?
The only tip I would give is please start whatever you've planned. Please start implementing it. And the second would be please be consistent. Starting and being consistent is only what is required at the end of the day, and you'll be able to make it. So
Awesome.
yes,
So guys, execute. Just हवा में बात मत कीजिए. अगर आपने कोर्स में एनरोल किया है, so prepare hard and start studying from today itself. Thank you so much. This is Sripal Jain logging off. Hrithik, thank you so much for coming in. It was great having you
thank you
guys
so
who
much.
all are watching us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Bye.